with Sam Seder, where every day's Casual Friday. That means Monday is Casual Monday, Tuesday, Casual Tuesday, Wednesday, Casual Hump Day, Thursday, Casual Thurs, that's what we call it, and Friday, Casual Shabbat. The Majority Report with Sam Seder.
It is Friday, November 11th, 2022. My name is Sam Seder. This is the 5-time award-winning Majority Report. We are broadcasting live steps from the industrially ravaged Gowanus Canal in the heartland of America, downtown Brooklyn, USA. On the program today, the host of The Politics of Everything, contributing writer to The New Republic, also the founder of the Good AP, well, just the AP. Alex Pareene will be joining us. Feels like he was just in here a couple days ago.
Because he was.
I know.
Okay.
Also on the program today, Democrats still in a race for the House as Senate control looks more likely. Meanwhile, on a state and local level, midterms increasingly look like a historic win for the Democrats. Republican lawsuit and a Trump judge halt student loan debt forgiveness. Meanwhile, inflation eases, beating expectations in October. AOC calls for the New York State Democratic chair to resign after New York State's midterm debacle. California solidifies a partnership to produce low-cost insulin by 2024. And workers' right to unionize wins. Will be amended to the Illinois Constitution. Russia abandons Kherson City as Ukraine forces advance. Amid calls to step aside, Trump still determined to announce his campaign on Tuesday. Meanwhile, Joe Biden at COP27 calls for reduced methane gases. And Lonnie Musk already talking Twitter bankruptcy. Imagine that. Lastly, new ruling adds another $473 million to Alex Jones's defamation tab, bringing his Connecticut tab up to $1.4 billion. All this and more on today's Majority Report. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us on this Friday. It is, of course, a casual Friday. And Emma's here, and we're both wearing our, respective casual wear.
Yes. Yeah, sure.
Wow. All right. Getting a lot of pushback today. I'm not sure what's going on here. All right.
Something brewing with a revolt in the studio.
There's no time for phatic discourse. So.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's just get right to it. But... Fine. Okay. I don't like to do this too often because it's obnoxious, but I will say that the day that it was announced that Elon Musk, way back when, was going to, it seemed like he was going to buy Twitter. I'm like, that idiot doesn't have any clue as to what he's getting into. And it turns out that idiot didn't have any clue as to what he was getting into at all. Fascinating. We'll talk more about it, but I'm personally, and when we talk more about it later, maybe we'll bring it up with Alex too. We should do that actually. I'm quite familiar with bankruptcy, both having gone through it with the radio station I worked for, and having been the son of or I still am, of a bankruptcy attorney. And I think bankruptcy is the best thing that could happen to Twitter in terms of like normal human beings. But we'll talk more about that later in the program. First, we are witnessing, and enjoy it, folks, because it's not going to last long. There is there's a little bit of a civil war breaking out in the Republican Party, particularly in the wake of these midterms, where the DeSantis forces are coming out and trying to spread this narrative that the Republican voters rejected Donald Trump the other day. And
people being way too gleeful with that. And I feel like there was already a template for some of these media outlets to write that up, right? Like it's just, they're trying to will it into existence as if any of these candidates are actual legitimate proxies for Trump. Trump is Trump.
And I watched a little bit of the Tim Pool, Milo Yiannopoulos interview. I don't know. And Milo Yiannopoulos was just laughing. He said, no one supports Ron DeSantis who isn't paid to support Ron DeSantis, which I think is probably somewhat accurate. But here is a perfect example of what's going on here. They're now, and rightfully so, they are terrified of Donald Trump announcing before the Georgia runoff. And they should be, because it's going to be weird that he's not going to go there to campaign when Joe Biden, I bet, does. Maybe Joe Biden won't, but nevertheless, it's going to be weird that he will not support his handpicked candidate in Georgia during this runoff. Here is, I give you Fox News, ladies and gentlemen.
Say this. I do think President Biden is running, and I don't see anyone out there. I could name, and we've done this on radio, 12 people, talented people on the right that could run for president in the prime of their careers, from Ron DeSantis to Mike Pompeo to the Vice President of the United States to Governor Kristi Noem to Governor Nikki Haley. I can't do that on the left. So that's how we got the job in the first place. There was no alternative. Now, with President Trump, I would think the first indication I would look for to see if he was serious about being savvy and recalibrating is if he puts off his announcement Monday. If he puts off his announcement Monday, it's putting team first. If he takes his announcement Monday, that'll show that it's so Trump-centric, it's going to be playing to the DeSantis or broad scope, big jungle primary.
Yeah, a lot of people would like, his supporters would like to see him get all behind Herschel Walker right now in the most helpful way possible.
And something might be being quiet, because in Georgia, he's not that popular.
It might be being quiet. And also to sort of stop the bows and arrows that he's shooting at DeSantis.
Right, which is insane, because it's like shooting at somebody, because DeSantis is so much like Trump in so many ways, but different enough at 44 years old to offer different attributes and different skill set. So I think that a lot of people are having difficulty when you see them fight with each other that are on the right, because they say I like them both to win.
Yeah.
Not possible. Sorry.
No. First of all, look at what's amazing is how they're both. Well, I will say that Kilmeade's not tiptoeing around in the way that McCallum definitely is, right? Like she's like,
well, he goes there and she goes, well, you could tell there's such nervousness and anxiety about going there because they know he's watching. Like they're speaking directly to him and they have to be so specific in their language.
And I think they're also really worried because I think they're in the back of their mind. They're like, we could really be on the outs with everybody, because everything that they're talking about, the only sort of people who are going to sort of pick up on the implications of Trump announcing before the runoff election are donors and Republican operatives. The people who vote, they're not going to, at least in the Republican Party, they're not going to be like, oh, I really wish Trump was more of a team player and didn't announce until after the run. That's not the way they function.
No.
It's just like voters don't have that level of generally of savvy about the implications of this. And so it's fascinating. It's also sort of fascinating that this guy thinks that like Mike Pompeo is going to get 0.05% of the vote that's like, if you can come up with the name Mike Pompeo as a potential candidate for president on the right, like who would you disinclude on the left? What Democrat wouldn't run with the same recognition of Mike Pompeo? That you could run like some backbench congressperson from Illinois or from, like, I don't know, anywhere in the country and have the same sort of resonance that Mike Pompeo is going to have in the Republican presidential election. I think the real question is going to be, does Ron DeSantis actually end up declaring? Does he actually run? I mean,
he will. He's gone. I mean, look at this entire like media operation that is behind him, right? His ego is too massive at this point for him to kind of take a calculated step back and just keep his powder dry. The momentum is just too it's moving too quickly for DeSantis, I think, for a guy with his kind of constitution, which is one with a very big ego and thinks highly of himself, to take a step back now.
You guys want a Truth Social update?
Yeah,
I would.
What do we got?
Maybe I'll retruth
This
it.
is a tweet from Patriot American Alpha Sauce that real Donald Trump retruths. I just need DeSantis to understand what we the people want. We were cheated out of our vote for Trump, and we want Trump to get his second term. I hope DeSantis is not dumb and makes us not trust him by going against us or Trump, because Dems are not going to vote for him, and we don't need Trump tearing him apart in debates. And if he talks crap to Trump, he ends MAGA, even wanting him in 2028.
Let me ask you this, Matt. Do you think that Trump was on the toilet when he was, truthing that out under one of his sock puppets?
Yeah, I think it's on his gold toilet.
Libtard 01 was my first reaction.
Without a doubt.
MAGA Chud, Sauce or whatever his name is.
To be fair, it's probably Donald Trump Jr.'s sock puppet account where he's just, Dad, I just tweeted something under sock puppet number 3.
Yeah, check out this guy, Patriotic American Alpha Sauce. He's got some really interesting takes on the DeSantis Trump stuff.
We got a couple of words from our sponsors today, and then we'll be talking to Alex Pareene. We'll ask Alex Pareene an opinion on this. Does DeSantis end up running? And will Donald Trump, it's almost laughable to say this, but will Donald Trump not announce this week because he realizes he's not being a team player? Folks, today's program sponsored by our favorite sponsor, sunsetlakesebede.com. Left is Best gets you 20% off. 20% off. This is a great company. We're still tallying the numbers from their election day sale to see how much money they are donating to Planned Parenthood, and we at the show are donating to Planned Parenthood. But they are a movement partner. They have donated thousands of dollars over the past couple of years to things like food pantries and union strike funds and refugee resettlement and the Innocence Project. The list goes on and on. They have great business practices, $20 minimum wage, mostly employee-owned company. They have great farming practices, integrated pest management. They use regenerative farming. They have a great product, and that is in the form of tinctures, all different strengths, 3 different flavors on the tinctures. They have gummies. They have Sebede gummies. They have gummies with Sebede and just a tiny bit of THC. Sorry to have to pronounce things this way, but
it just
algorithms.
Like it never fails to make me laugh. So keep it up.
The THC.
Yeah, right.
And and of course there's also there's gummies with melatonin. There is Sebede coffee and Sebede fudge and smokables. They have pre-rolls. They have keef. They have flour that you can mix with other smokable products. I mean, across the board, they have a salve with arnica that I use on my kids' mosquito bites, and I use on my eczema. And it's good for muscle aches. We have gotten such good feedback over the years from this product. sunsetlakesebede.com. Left is Best gets you 20% off. Check it out, folks. You will not be disappointed whatsoever. And of course, it's all third-party tested, and they send you those. You can just check it out on their site. All the breakdowns of what you are ingesting, which is super, super important because there's a lot of fakers out there, if you will. One of our other sponsors today is Kamakoto. I've shown you these knives in the past. Kamakoto makes great Japanese steel kitchen knives using traditional techniques from Japan. Kamakoto builds on the legacy of over 800 years of Japanese technology and expertise, creating knives that have been meticulously handcrafted from traditional techniques dating back to the Edo period of Japan. Kamakoto only uses steel sourced from mills in Japan. Each blade is crafted using techniques that have been honed and perfected by generations of knife smiths. Each Kamakoto knife goes through a rigorous 19-step process that takes several years from start to finish to complete. Each knife is individually inspected with a lifetime guarantee. And they come in a beautiful, really heavy wood ash box, which makes for a wonderful gift. If you have somebody in your life who is, loves to cook and appreciates a good knife, in terms of and there's multiple different types of knives. They have the Japanese steak knife. They have the smaller ones. I mean, you should go over and check it out over at kamakoto.com/majority. Check these out. They have also a single a bevel edge. And because of that, Kamakoto knives can achieve an unbelievably sharp edge you just can't get with other knives. They can cut through your ribeye like butter. You can maintain the edge of your blades with one of Kamakoto's sharpening whetstones. Kamakoto knives are used by several chefs working at Michelin star restaurants. And right now, Kamakoto is running a Black Friday sale. We're a couple of weeks out, but you know how those Black Fridays roll. They are offering our viewers an extra $50 off any purchase with the discount code MAJORITY. This is on top of their other special offers. So go to kamakoto.com, KAMIKOTO.com/majority to get your knife set. And makes for a great gift for yourself or for someone you care about who likes to cook. And you're also supporting our channel. And lastly, today, one of our other sponsors is Hold On Bags. I think everybody knows the problem we have with plastic in this country and frankly in the world. There's like an island of plastic floating around in the Pacific. They're finding, you're cutting open fish and you're finding plastic inside them. 100 billion plastic bags are used and then thrown away every year. There is a better way. Hold On is a company that was born from the idea that there has to be a better way to go about our daily chores. Trash bags and kitchen bags are necessary staples, but do they need to be 100% plastic? Well, the answer is 100% no. Hold On trash and kitchen bags are heavy-duty, plant-based, non-toxic, and 100% home compostable, which means that they break down in weeks and not decades. They don't fill up our landfills or pollute our oceans. And their zip seal kitchen bags come in sandwich or gallon-sized bags. So you can put carrots in there or your sandwich for your kid's lunch, or you can, I guess hold crayons. I lean on bags like that quite a bit. A lot of hardware. Kids got toys, got like 40 different like little Lego sets that got to be organized. And now I don't feel bad about using plastic because I have bags that ultimately, when they get thrown away, are not going to add to our problem with plastic in this country or the world, like I say. Hold On wants to be part of the growing movement away from single-use plastic, which is, of course, the worst kind of plastic. At every stage, production, disposal, and decomposition, plastic bags are doing harm to our planet, to our water, and to our bodies. Hold On bags are on a mission to make daily chores something you can feel good about, one bag at a time. To shop plant-based bags and replace single-use plastics all over your home, go to holdonbags.com/majority or enter majority at checkout. You save 20% off your order. Sustainability has never been more simple. That's Hold On, HOLDONBAGS, holdonbags, one word, .com/majority, or enter majority at the coupon code to receive 20% off your order. Small things can lead to lasting change. We stop and we say, hold on. And then we get these bags. All right, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll be talking to Alex Pareene. We are back. Sam Seder, Emma Vigeland on the Majority Report, and back with us. It seems like it was only almost like yesterday or a couple of days ago.
It does.
He is the co-host of The Politics of Everything. He is a contributing editor to The New Republic. He is the proprietor of the AP, the good one, that hasn't been corrupted by corporate forces. AP on the Substack, and now writing over at Popula.com, which is a cooperative. Alex Pareene, welcome back to the show this week.
Yeah, it's great to be back. I don't know, 4 or 5 hours of sleep after I last saw you.
I mean, it was quite a night, and you were, I think you were the only one sober leaving.
I was, I was,
which was. I feel like you should have walked us all home that night.
Yeah. What was your experience, Alex, in being the only sober one in this environment?
It was a new experience for me, and one I don't hope to repeat.
I trust everyone acted appropriately to you, though.
Yeah,
right?
For the most part.
Nobody was too rude. All right. So things like, I mean, when we left Tuesday night, I guess it was almost Wednesday morning, actually, when we left the studio, certainly the trend was very positive, and it feels like that trend has only sort of like continued bit by bit, drip by drip. It doesn't look like the Democrats are going to hold the House, but just the fact that we have to say that is sort of shocking to everybody except for John from San Antonio. I should say, who certainly thought it was going to be this close. But it increasingly, it looks like they're going to keep the Senate and maybe get to 51 seats.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. I think that it looks pretty likely they're going to be at 50 again. And I know that a lot of the networks don't want to call it because they love the drama, but it seems pretty likely that they're going to at least be at 50, and then it comes down to Georgia.
Yep. Wasserman has said that, it's all but over, and he called it for Kelly, which I think is pretty locked in. And John Ralston continues, who is like the dean of Nevada politics, continues to say that he thinks that there's enough votes out there for Masto to pull it off. And he hasn't made a call, but he's convinced that that there's the votes there for her. And then let's talk about this runoff. We had talked about it a little bit because it was looking like it was going to head there on Tuesday night, but increasingly, particularly first of all, if it's the 51st vote, right? Like the Republicans don't necessarily have the same.
They don't have the same incentive
to whatever it is, ride or die on Herschel Walker.
Yeah, and we were talking about at least the theory that you had a lot of people who were turned out by Kemp who are less enthusiastic about Walker, who won't be turning out for this. And I like to think, and I don't think this will actually happen, but I like to think that you could juice Democratic turnout just by making it we don't have to care about Kirsten Sinema runoff. The official no longer worry about what Kirsten Sinema thinks about anything runoff ought to at least help turn a couple of votes out.
Well, we mentioned this on Tuesday too, but I think there has to be something more, right? Yeah. I mean, remember the last runoff there? It was you elect a John Ossoff and you elect Warnock, you're going to get those $2,000 checks. Now, ultimately, they subtracted the $600 that just came out in the last one, and they did $1,400. But as surely as an electoral question, right? They need to offer something, and it's unclear, what it is that they can offer at this point, right? With 51 votes, and particularly if they don't have the House. Yeah. But it could be judges. It could also be and here's the other thing that I hadn't really contemplated. Bless you. Emma.
Thank you. Sorry.
That there may be, and it's we'll talk about this too, but if the Democrats get as close as it sounds like to retaining the House and they don't retain it, it's going to come down to some California and New York losses.
Yep.
And more than likely, those Republican congresspeople are going to be more amenable to codifying Roe or feel the pressure more.
Oh, certainly, yeah.
Then,
the New York ones especially, yeah.
Yes, and so it seems like there is an argument that with 51 votes, maybe you can get, maybe Sinema at this point with no point in switching over to the Republican Party. Mm-hmm. Maybe she thinks the one way I can maybe get back into the game for Democrats is to save essentially abortion rights in the country. I mean, so mm-hmm. I don't know, but what do you think that they could offer? As to like, if you elect Warnock, making Crist and Sinema irrelevant in terms of switching over to the Republican Party, that's a mouthful. What's the sort of like material benefit that they can offer?
Yeah. And I don't know. It's funny. You say judges, and that's been a motivating concern for conservative voters for decades now, and it's harder to make that case for whatever reason for Democratic voters. I hesitate to suggest leading with that kind of deal making, but I think that you are right that they're going to have to say we have all these vulnerable new New York and some California House Republicans who are not from the pro-Trump caucus, and they're going to want to protect their narrow victories. And there is an avenue there, and I think that you'll have to make some sort of case that they can actually get something from them. I think Roe is probably a abortion protection, codifying Roe in some sense, might just be the smartest path forward. Because I don't know if you're going to get promises on anything more sort of direct and material that you can actually get through whatever this House looks like, because that's still completely up in the air.
Well, I mean, maybe the Senate could finally try to move forward on their marriage equality bill.
Yeah,
that
true.
They've still been sitting on that. I mean, I was bullish on this, and I keep returning to it because it pisses me off with Schumer. He allowed this bipartisan group of senators to negotiate a religious liberty exemption for weeks and weeks in the lead up to the midterms, and then everybody left, and there was never a vote taken on it. I mean, these are all kind of Monday morning quarterback things, but that could have been used as a cudgel in, say, a much closer race than people anticipated initially with Mandela Barnes and Ron Johnson, where he was made uncomfortable by that vote. Like, you could at least have the foresight with abortion here, because even though the momentum is gone to pressure the Republicans maybe to hit a 60 vote threshold in the Senate, that's still a vote on their ledger that's like helpful for the future.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. And there's I mean, I don't know, we'll see. There's obviously a lot of unfinished Senate business, and we have still a lame duck session coming up, but yeah, I mean, it remains to be seen what they can actually sort of promise to do. I think we know what they can prevent with 51 votes, but yeah, it's a little bit of a trickier case to make in a campaign.
And I wonder too if there isn't a good opportunity for the Democrats to talk about judges, particularly the Biden administration has now shut down the process of applying for loan debt forgiveness, student loan debt forgiveness, and it was a super easy process. Matt went in there. He said it took him like 30 seconds. You basically just put your name in, but they've shut it down because this Trump-appointed judge has this novel theory about whether, and this is going to end up at the Supreme Court. And so it seems to me like a great opportunity to talk about how Republicans have gone to great lengths. There was like 8 court cases and like half of them got dismissed. Republicans have gone to crazy lengths to stop this. And if they do stop it, it's because of judges. This seems like a great opportunity for Democrats to start to like get their constituents to care about the courts.
Yeah, I agree. I think in part because they don't necessarily have a plan beyond confirming their own judges, but they've been hesitant to put it in those terms, right? Like these sort of unelected Trump judges stopping us from doing all these good things. But I think that's really the case they need to make. Like the the student loan one is, I think we have evidence now that it was politically popular and helped. And if you say it's under threat, and the way to protect it is to maintain a Senate majority so that we can get our guys on the bench, it seems like an easy enough case to make. But yeah, they have been hesitant to make it on those sort of naked terms.
And the bottom line is they're going to be making this case over and over and over again, because this is just the beginning of all of the popular policies that, if Democrats get into position to actually pass, are going to be stopped by these courts. It's not going to end here. And we're just going to see this constant rollback. I mean, I am convinced, and I guess, there's a certain amount of confirmation bias here on my part. But I'm convinced the fundamental dynamic is either going to be the courts rolling back sort of things that we take for granted in this country, as we've already seen it in the context of abortion rights, rolling back rights, rolling back functions of government that we have taken for granted for decades upon decades, and then shutting down, in the event that Democrats are able to pass anything, shutting down these things that the Democrats are able to pass. Or Biden's able to, do via some form of executive order. I mean, this is going to be the dynamic, I think, over the next 5-10 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And obviously, the goal is to, the goal pretty nakedly is to, cripple the executive when a Democrat is in power, and then empower the executive when a Republican is in power. And I think you can, I think that the message does need to be formulated around this idea that there's lots of things that we are, not in the sort of, oh, we're helpless, we can't get this done because judges said so way, but in the this is a political fight that actually matters and that you should care about. And I don't know, there's still a hesitancy to treat the judiciary as political, that I think I think that a lot of people, a lot of Democrats are no longer on that page, but it still seems like a red line that a lot of senior White House people don't want to cross.
Let's talk about the other potential thing that could impact the runoff, regardless of whether it's for the 51st seat for the Democrats or the 50th seat. And that is Donald Trump. Something special is going to happen at Mar-a-Lago on the 15th. Now, it could be he's introducing some type of all-you-can-eat buffet at the club. It could be a reduction in membership fees. Unlikely. Or it could be I think he's going to announce, but there seems to be a lot of pushback against this because they're afraid of him announcing before the runoff. What is the likelihood that Donald Trump is going to accept that he hurts in the runoff, and B, if he does, give a shit?
I think it's very unlikely. I mean, look, he, first of all, you're not going to be able to convince him that he had any negative role in Republican performance, right? That's always going to be someone else's fault. But no, I have to imagine.
All of his candidates, they either didn't lean into and I know Bolduc wasn't his, but they either didn't lean into the election denial enough, or they were, walked it back and were pandering to the libs in the general.
Yeah. And so I imagine that no matter what anyone tells him, and he's going to believe that whatever announcement he makes can only help. That the more he's in the news, the more it helps. So I don't know. It wasn't reported he wanted to do it before the midterms, and then they
Yes.
actually did convince him to at least put the brakes on that.
Yes, I'm sure the way that it went down was like, you're not going to be able to use the money you've raised for your legal defense if you use it before if you do it, the sooner you do it. So just keep that in mind. He's like, well, how much? And I heard a story way back in the day when he wanted, I can't remember that adult film actress or
Stormy Daniels or a
he
different one?
wanted Stormy Daniels on The Apprentice.
Oh.
And this is an inside story I heard actually from somebody who was sort of in the know. And all the ABC, was it? He was on NBC. All the NBC executives had to convince him not to do it because he was talking about it. And so they basically at one point just like figured out how much advertising dollars they would lose because he had participation, and they put that on a piece of paper and put it on his desk. And he literally was just like, yeah, okay, forget about that. And just and that was it. And that was the end of the whole thing. Like 3 months of him posturing to have her on, and then he just threw it away.
Yeah. Isn't there the idea too that the Justice Department doesn't want to act before an election, right? So then he can't announce before the election, but then he can just make the next election start.
Exactly.
That's the urgency. That's the urgency for him.
Start the clock on the next election, so that it'll be political to prosecute him.
Yes. And let me ask I am of the opinion that much of this stuff about like Trump's candidates, didn't fare well is manufactured, because Donald Trump's candidates have never particularly fared well.
No, never.
And I don't remember ever a time where it was his rate of endorsements, this is off the top of my head, was anything more than like a coin flip in terms of like it helping. In Alabama,
it's not like 2018 was some year where he had the magic touch.
No, and not in 2020 either. There's this, it's not terribly surprising. It's certainly, Obama didn't have that ability either. It didn't feel like, so this starts like, and he is sort of fighting it's really just one front, right? But it's DeSantis. Here's a tweet that it's a series. He put out a statement, but I think he also like truthed it out or whatever.
Here's the truth.
He truthed it out too. This up
is from
there.
The desk of Donald J. Trump. Okay.
Will you please,
President
Matt? Will you please put it up and read it in your Donald Trump voice, please?
Okay. Yeah. 1 moment. News Corp, which is Fox, the Wall Street Journal, and the no longer great New York Post, bring back. I don't know what that means.
Call Allen.
Okay.
Inside
is all in for Governor Ron DeSanctimonious, an average Republican governor with great public relations, who didn't have to close up his state, but did, unlike other Republican governors who overall numbers for a Republican were just average, middle of the park, including COVID, and who has the advantage of sunshine, where people from badly run states up north would go no matter who the governor was, just like I did.
One sentence. That's one sentence.
The weather is helping Ron D.
Ron came to me in
James Joyce is my favorite author.
This is River Run. Ron came to me in desperate shape in 2017. He was politically dead, losing in a landslide to a very good agricultural commissioner, Adam Putnam, who was loaded up with cash and great poll numbers. Ron had low approval, bad polls, and no money, but he said that if I would endorse him, endorse is capitalized, he could win. I didn't know Adam, so I said, let's give it a shot, Ron. When I endorsed him, it was as though, to use a bad term, a nuclear weapon went off. Years later, the exact words that Adam Putnam used in describing Ron's endorsement, he said, I went from having it, go ahead, Bradley. Having it made with no competition to immediately getting absolutely clobbered after your endorsement. I then got Ron by the star of the Democratic Party, Andrew Gillum, who was later revealed to be a, quote, crackhead, by having 2 massive rallies with tens of thousands of people at each one. I also fixed his campaign, which had completely fallen apart. I was all in for Ron, and he beat Gillum, but after the race, when votes were being stolen by the corrupt election process in Broward County, and Ron was going down 10,000 votes a day, along with now Senator Rick Rick Scott. I sent in the FBI and the U.S. attorneys, and the ballot theft immediately ended, just prior to them running out of the votes necessary to win. I stopped his election from being stolen. And now Ron DeSanctimonious is playing games. The fake news asks him if he's going to run if President Trump runs, and he says, I'm only focused on the governor's race. I'm not looking into the future. Well, in terms of loyalty and class, that's really not the right answer. This is just like 2015 and 2016, a media assault collusion when Fox News fought me to the end until I won, and then they couldn't have been nicer or more supportive. The Wall Street Journal loved low-energy Jeb Bush and a succession of other people as they rapidly disappeared from sight, finally falling in line with me after I easily knocked them out one by one. We're in exactly the same position now. They will keep coming after us, MAGA, but ultimately we will win. Put America first and make America great again.
I mean,
Yeah, good job, Matt.
where's the lie?
Matt,
Yeah.
Matt, well done.
Matt needs some
well
water. Oh man.
Let's just handle let's just put aside the part about where he weaponized the DOJ.
Yeah, where he sent the FBI in.
Yeah, we
so,
missed
Yeah.
that part.
They
Well,
were
just,
losing. Yeah.
Well, but the rest of it is, you know, I guess he's like, what's like, why? Like, is he just he just feels like he's got to put out the whole. It almost feels like a personal appeal to DeSantis. Like I'm really disappointed in you.
Yeah.
Like, and here's why. Like, I'm genuinely hurt. Because
I think it's of a piece. It's of a piece with the sort of, I don't know, was it like a veiled blackmail threat though?
Yeah.
Right. Like it's of a piece with that because he's saying like, it's basically I will destroy you and I think his account of 2016 is not totally inaccurate. I mean, it's true.
It's totally accurate.
It's true, certainly that, and I think, you know, to what you were saying, Trump doesn't have the magic touch for the people he endorses, but his account of what happens when people run against him on the Republican ticket is pretty spot on, and it seems
Yeah, and it's just so silly that, like, I mean, the news that the press is just, again, I said this earlier, they're trying to will it into existence, but they still can't understand while they talk about this, how it's a cult of personality with Trump, that a cult of personality only really works in that, like,
The
people
guy with
follow
the
the
personality.
personality, not the proxies that he half-heartedly endorses so he can go to rallies and get attention.
But here's the real question in my mind is, how does everything he said was true about 2016, although not in the beginning. Like in the beginning, none of those outlets criticized him, and none of those other candidates criticized him. They were steadfast in avoiding criticism of Trump for months
because they didn't take him seriously.
Well, they thought that he was going to flame out, and they took the fact that he had some hardcore supporters seriously, because they didn't want to alienate those hardcore supporters.
all of them wanted to be Romney in 2012. That's what they were all playing. Like, play along with him and then get his endorsement at the end.
Yes, but I wonder if DeSantis is going to enter the race in that same way. Because, like, I mean, they've only got one sort of template, right? Which is 2016. And if people are around DeSantis, they got to be saying, you know, dude, you got to go after him from the beginning. Because if you wait until he gets like some momentum, but how is he going to do that? Like, that's the big central question. And you can see they're so, like, they're trying to get him to just drop out, and that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And I that's why, like, I'm not even convinced, you know, and I don't know, Em and I were talking about this beforehand. Like, I'm not 100% convinced that DeSantis actually jumps into the race, because he's going to have to like, he could just avoid any type of conflict with Trump and just hope that for some reason that there's some magical reason why Donald Trump will flame out. But otherwise he's going to go at Trump. And that, it seems to me, comes to a great risk, because if he's going to drop out of the race, because he's, after Iowa or something, or after, whatever it is, New Hampshire, it's not a good look for him.
He does not, in my opinion, have like the people around him nor the Constitution to to reverse course at this
He's too
point.
poor and he's too short.
Literally, you have Fox News, you have Ben Shapiro, all of the media, or conservative media operation kind of begging for him. I think he's peaking now, but like, he has the kind of ego, in my opinion, where it's like he's too far down this road.
Can a politician say no when the entire ecosystem is on his side, rooting for him?
Even if that's disconnected from like how primary voters are going to actually act.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting because I think Emma's right. I think he is ensconced in a bubble where he's, incredibly popular. And there's been this concerted effort to I think, dissuade Trump. Try to dissuade Trump from running. That's not working, obviously. And you have Republicans sort of touting him as, Trump without the baggage, but, the baggage is kind of the appeal. So, I don't know. I think I can see him being a little bit paralyzed by not knowing when and how to strike Trump because, he needs those voters. But Trump has no compunction about just striking first, obviously.
Right. And here's a perfect example of sort of the counter forces that are gonna be there. Kari Lake it looks like Hobbs is gonna win in Arizona, but it's certainly closer than it was with Kelly and Blake Masters. I mean, Blake Masters was, I think, uniquely odious to people in a way that even Kari Lake, who is really odious, was not. I mean, Blake Masters is that type of guy who there's no. Blake Masters feels like at high school there's no group of kids that like him.
No.
Yeah, I mean even though whatever nobody. He doesn't fit in anywhere.
Right.
Here is Kari Lake on with Steven Crowder. And it's also interesting to sort of say, so much of the right are these media figures, and they've got to decide, right? Remember what happened to Glenn Beck? He got on the wrong side of Donald Trump, and I don't know that he ever fully recovered from that. No. But here is Steven Crowder with Kari Lake, and I don't know. There's a lot of things that's weird about this, but here it is.
What I think they're doing is slow rolling our victory. They want to take the air out of this movement, and they can't do it because it's a movement, and we, the people, are fed up, and we're not going to slow down. We're not going to let them take the fire out of our belly. And so they slow roll the results. Ron DeSantis goes out, gives his big speech, and then they want to make it look like the Trump Republicans don't have a chance. We do. We're going to win. I'm 100% sure of that. I think that Blake may even win with the look of what is left to be counted.
Yeah.
These votes are going to go Blake's way as well. And so they just want to control the narrative. And they can do that by how quickly they release results.
Yes.
What I think they're
time zones are
these are the votes right here. I got the these are the votes that are going to go.
Time zones are against are pro DeSantis, I guess. That's the lesson from this.
But what's amazing, though, I mean, what's fascinating about this is she is lumping DeSantis in with the sort of deep state, vague conspiracy that's associated. Because when she's saying they want to stop the Trump Republicans, she's ostensibly talking about Arizona counting officials, and it's sort of the German servers that are
Deep
impacting
state
it.
folks,
Yeah. And then she throws in, coincidentally, DeSantis goes and gives his speech.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. We've seen this play out before. That a lot of people who move pretty comfortably in these conservative spaces are going to be surprised at how quickly they can be turned into the enemy, or just briefly be made useful as that kind of enemy. Not, it doesn't even really take doing anything besides giving a victory speech at the time when you have won.
It's a different order to start talking about DeSantis as part of this like concerted effort to deny.
And that's what he actually. Yeah, that's what he has to look out for, though, too, right? Because if he just wants to, the act of running against Trump itself will be treasonous or treated as treasonous.
It's almost like they're almost setting it up to be worse than that, right? Like, because, it's like, okay, little Marco and Lion Ted and boring Joe, Jeb and all these others, they had personal flaws.
Yeah.
But like Carrie Lake, I mean, I don't, sometimes it's hard to know, like, she's just shooting off the hip, or, Trump gets wind of that and is like, that's a good, like, if they tie in, if they tie in DeSantis into the larger conspiracy of Trump was denied the election, and that there are forces that are aligned out there with the deep state, that's a different order of thing. That's a much harder thing to come back from, right? Because Lion Ted can get there and go like, I don't like Donald Trump, and he said something about my wife, and then the next week he's like, I'm phone banking for him. And it's harder to do if you get into the sort of the slipstream of, and remember, Q didn't really exist at that time. Like that deep conspiracy hole didn't exist.
Yeah.
In the same way, it wasn't as cohesive. And so now there's this sort of like ready-made sort of like, disposal that is ready for like DeSantis to get thrown there. He could get chopped up in a way that like, I think Trump's last opponents didn't. And all of those opponents that he had were senators. And the ones that remain basically just showed had an opportunity to showcase their fealty. How does DeSantis come back from running against Trump?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. It's like you say, it's a different, it's a different like thing to do now because of that entire, element of it, where I think, anyone can be made part of that sort of crazy conspiracy narrative, but like at that point it doesn't even matter what kind of record you've assembled in office, because it's just like if they put you in the storyline, and then like you can't really get out of it, Yep.
Yeah, I think it's much harder. And you think about everybody who was not a senator who ran against Donald Trump. Where are they now?
Yeah.
Gone.
Right. Who knows?
They didn't have
who were they? Yeah.
I mean, but like Graham, who came out strong against Trump, Cruz, Marco Rubio, those three, they're still in the scene because they had public opportunity to be contrite and to actually, sort of exercise in that manner. We're going to support the Trump agenda on a, daily basis. You send us down a bill, we'll vote for it. But Christie and Jeb Bush, and I don't even remember who's left anymore of that crew. They just got obliterated. They were just done. So it's going to be interesting to see. And now, what do we make of this thing where he sent the DOJ and the FBI down?
Yeah, that's a really interesting and curious claim.
We all missed that story, I guess. I mean, I guess we aren't, tuning in to OANN every day, or I guess it wasn't even around at that point. But
if Ron runs, maybe you'll hear a little bit more about it.
I was so humble.
But wait, is there any part of that story that anybody's been able to confirm? Never.
No.
A, and B, that doesn't seem appropriate that you get to just like secretly send down the DOJ and the FBI to get them to stop counting
the votes. Yeah. Yeah. It seems on the one hand, like maybe Trump asked for that to happen and someone told him it did.
Right. I think that's perfectly possible.
You said this, Mr. Trump.
Then on the other hand, it's something may have happened that we just don't know about.
Also, a weird relationship with the deep state that he has with the FBI.
Yeah,
the whole thing is crazy.
They're the good guys. There's another Truth Social that we might want to talk about. I'll put it up here. This is from this morning. Young Kin. Now that's an interesting take. Sounds Chinese, doesn't it? In Virginia, couldn't have won without me. I endorsed him, did a very big Trump rally for him telephonically, got MAGA to vote for him, or he couldn't have come close to winning, but he knows that and admits it. Besides, having a hard time with the Dems in Virginia, but he'll get it done. So I
don't know why he ends on a
what does
tone
that
of
even mean? I don't even know what
I don't know what he'll get it done.
Isn't
Also,
this just
why
like
were you doing a rally telephonically? It's because people were like, stay the hell away from this race. Don't come here.
but I still get on the Zoom, so it's a little difficult. He's just basically like these are shots across the bow, right? I mean, that's what's going on here. He's just saying, don't mess with me,
watch yourself,
or I'm going to come at you, and it's going to be bad. And I would also imagine that in whatever social media, to the extent that Youngkin or DeSantis has any sort of exposure to constituents, this is Trump saying like, let's send a little army to give you a little bit of harassment, just give you a little taste of what it could be.
Oh,
like.
yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah. That's definitely, the part of him weighing in on anything is just to be like, if I make you enemy number one, let's see what happens. Like, let's see how you like it.
Yeah,
I don't know what the end of the Youngkin, he'll get it done. I don't know what that means. He'll get what done.
He's okay. He's okay. I'm sure he'll come out for a Chinese sounding guy. What was that about?
I don't know.
Is there some secret, is there a conspiracy out there that like Youngkin's
I don't know.
in the bag from China?
That one literally just sounds like him riffing and then someone writing it down. Like he had just found the name and then so he was like, "We got to put that in there. You got to include that."
Or do you think it could be that he has? I mean, this is purely speculation on my part, and it could be just as simple as like Youngkin. That sounds kind of Chinese. Yeah, write that. It does sound Chinese.
Put that in there.
Or could it be that Youngkin has like some potential scandal that may have to do? And
that's the Roger Stone way of doing things. I feel
that would be.
This is Trump's way of saying like, I know about it. Wouldn't it be weird if I dug into why your name sounds so Chinese? Like maybe it's because you got $200,000 from the Chinese guy. Like who knows what it is. But it's this is going to be. I don't think we're going to enjoy it as much this time around.
No, it'll be because we sort of
because we know the implications of it,
right?
Yeah,
but it could be enjoyable. I wanted to talk AOC and Jay Jacobs because I know you follow New York State politics quite a bit, and he should resign. I mean, he should resign. It's an abomination. Also, Sean Patrick Maloney is a piece of garbage. Good riddance that he's gone, and he went out the door just as classless and as unhelpful as he was when he was inside the door. But let's talk a little bit about Elon Musk, because this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
2 weeks in, he has already brought this company to its knees, to the point where like almost every executive of any relevance has basically tried to quit, or is quitting, or has quit, or is out the door. The ad revenue has completely plummeted. They have come up with like 12 different plans. I don't even know where they're at right now with the check mark thing. I haven't even been able to follow that.
I saw some reports that like people were trying to subscribe and it was being frozen. So
yeah, I don't think you can't sign up for them, at least right now. I don't think, but yeah. I mean,
I mean, did you get duped by one yet, Alex? Like, we were about to go live for ESPN, and I saw a fake Woj tweet that Kyrie Irving was released from the Nets, and I was like, we got to change the whole show.
Got a fake Adam Schefter got me for like a split second.
Yeah,
and but just.
But there are other good ones, like someone had a fake Tesla saying like the second Tesla has hit into the World Trade Center.
The Tesla one is great.
The Eli Lilly
Boeing
one.
Eli Lilly.
The fake APAC saying we love apartheid. apartheid, and then a fake Carrie Lake responded saying, "Same here," and they said like, "What's your Venmo, Carrie? We want to send you money." like I mean, I saw someone else say, I mean, it's like the Titanic is going down, but instead of the violins being played, everyone's just chucking ice at the captain, and that is kind of the vibe that's happening right now.
The Eli Lilly one is amazing because you can look at Eli Lilly's stock price and it dropped significantly because of that fake tweet.
That's the thing about this that is so incredible is that like, yeah, like the goofy jokes are one thing, but like people can and people can use this to manipulate markets. Like this is
Elon
actually yes,
Yeah,
this is
right.
This is like a thing with real world implications, and it's happening so quickly.
Oh my
It's
God, it's
astounding.
amazing. It is amazing. And the thing is that I think that like, and I actually think that listen, if it goes into bankruptcy, it is from the user perspective, it's the best case scenario.
Yeah.
Because what will happen is the banks will take a huge haircut, essentially in the financing. He will have to ultimately sell because he can't, he won't come out the other end of this. He just can't. There's just no way that he can be in charge and make this company profitable at this point because there is absolutely no trust from the sector that he needs to make it even remotely profitable. It was worth $11 billion. The guy overpaid by $30 billion.
Yes.
Man, who amongst us, right? But and they're going to end up selling it for maybe half that. Maybe it's going to end up like going in bankruptcy to someone for $5.5 billion. I don't know who that is, and they'll just return it back to where it was, and this whole exercise will have happened. But the thing that I think there's a failure here of sort of just on our part, but also on like on leftist part. This is a perfect example of why billionaires are so corrosive to our society. I mean, imagine, if you will, that Elon Musk, it wasn't that he thought like, oh, I use Twitter. I can run Twitter. I've got some ideas here and I've got the cash. So bingo, bango, I've got it. And now I just ruin it within 2 weeks. Imagine he was, say, like somebody who was a little bit more serious and decided like, I have no education background, but I've been to school.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll drop $1 billion and all of the money that attracts, which probably, is like at that, like, 2 to 1, 3 to 1 factor of like, if you put, $1 billion into a system like U.S. education that is so starved for funds, you can actually like redirect billions more and change the behavior. Imagine if he was a billionaire who decided to do that and ran this experiment, by putting $1 billion in for, let's say, 10 years and completely changed the trajectory of our education system in this country in a way that after this experiment was over, they hired the Rand Corporation, and the Rand Corporation said, we've done an analysis, completely failed.
Yeah,
the experiment completely failed.
Didn't work.
You should go back to listening to educators. That's exactly what happened with the Gates Foundation.
That is what happened. Yeah.
100%. And like, we're still feeling the reverberations of all this like value add and high stakes testing. And this is why you don't want someone to have that kind of money, because on a whim, instead of like different stakeholders coming in, a lot more messy, but a lot more sort of like cautious and focused based upon like on, in the case of Twitter, like the users and the coders and the moderators. In the context of education, it's all the other people. In the context of like, let's say, vaccinations, you want medical professionals involved in this. Like, this is the problem with not just Elon Musk, with billionaires, period, end of story. This is why they should literally be illegal. Like, we should not have a system that allows someone to aggregate this much money because of how they can, on a whim, really implicate the trajectory of society, and no one has a say in it except for this guy.
Yeah, and there's a really obvious. I think there's a lot of really interesting discussions we could be having about the private control over the quote unquote sort of public sphere and debate and all that. But at the end of the day, it should just be between Elon Musk and the crypto sector. This should be just a time to say, these guys are like because they have a large net worth does not actually mean they know what the hell they're doing. And like we have on the ground proof of this. And not only does it mean they don't know what the hell they're doing, but despite not knowing what the hell they're doing, they have the power to screw with you. And Twitter can seem like a frivolous thing, but it's like this thing millions of people were using happily and enjoying and getting together with. And a guy on a whim, because he has the money, can just come in and mess it up in a week. In a week. Not like make it slowly worse over time, but like over a few days.
And it's a miracle that the engineers were not able to meet his insane deadline before the midterms, because, like, I mean, you know, who knows what the implications of this were, but we saw what happened the day after, where all of these fake accounts were cropping up. And, you know, this kind of stuff travels fast, and it doesn't take much for people to get misinformed.
It'll show up. Yeah, it'll show up on the, you know, before someone has a chance to check it, it'll show up on the news, you know, because that's just how this ecosystem has worked for years. Reporters are like reading off their phones on the news, you know, like that's how the information travels.
It is astounding. And I just hope that there is a concerted effort, and I don't know by whom, to educate the public as to both those two things. That one, just because you have a lot of money doesn't mean in any shape or form that you know what the hell you're talking about. Maybe even in the context of how you made your money. But certainly in any context outside of that, it does not translate. And B, this is the problem with having, individuals control this amount of money because they have so much power over our lives. Twitter, not in my estimation, as ultimately as relevant as our education system.
Our educational system.
But it is a perfect, because it's happened so quickly. It really is, I think, like a good teachable moment, as they say. Alex,
I mean, what you described is, sorry, just really quickly, kind of what Bill Gates did in New York. Like,
it's exactly what Bill Gates did in this country.
Yeah,
he put in. He had I was literally describing what he did.
Oh, okay.
Literally, he had a $600 million experiment that they did on the Northwest. But what happened is
that
everybody chased that money.
Yeah, everyone was chasing the money.
So you can go to in Brooklyn, there are schools that are dedicated towards the model that he had set up, and they were going to computerize everything. And so Microsoft was going to sell a bunch of other stuff to it. Right. There's the big grant money, and then there's all the other money that gets churned up around it. And it completely changed the trajectory of education in the entire country. In the entire country. Arnie Duncan and his whole educational ideology was a function of Bill Gates's influence on our education system.
It's going to be a real hard habit for Democrats who have been around since the 90s to break away from treating Silicon Valley guys as geniuses, because that's what they have been doing for a very long time now. They've been their billionaires, they've been their rich guys, they've been the good ones. And we
just should not have billionaires. We should you just should not have the ability on a whim to say heck, man, I went to school. I'm an expert. Let's drop $1 billion in that system and see what happens. And okay, well, moving on to the next thing. Let me see what works with.
Let me see how healthcare. I'm gonna do healthcare now. Yeah,
I'll do that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I get that you retire and you want a hobby, but maybe your hobby should not be changing the course of
Jay Leno collects cars,
exactly.
No harm in that.
No harm in that. But the idea that I'm going to dabble around with where, the trajectory of human civilization. All right, well, whatever.
Yeah.
Alex Pareene, I would trust you to do that. But I know that you.
I'll need $1 billion first, but
folks,
once I have
I think you can go to the AP
and start me on the road. Start me on that road.
Yeah, make it happen.
We will put links to all of the things that you do, Alex Pareene, in our podcast and YouTube description. As always, thanks so much. Thanks for Tuesday night. It was great having you there.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. See you, Sam and Emma.
Yep. Thanks, Alex.
All right, folks. We're going to head to the fun half now, wherein we will have fun.
Nice.
Just a reminder, it is your support that makes the show possible. When you become a member, you not only help the show survive and thrive, but you also get the free half, free of commercials. And then you get the fun half. And then you also get the pride that's associated with all of those things, which can ebb and flow.
Yeah.
Let's not kid ourselves. Also, justcoffee.coop, fair trade coffee, tea, or chocolate. Use the coupon code majority. You will get 10% off of your coffee. Emma, this has been an exhausting week for all you guys.
Yeah,
but Emma, you did like 4 extra shows this week. It feels
I know. I mean, it's the weekend's going to be a nice one.
Everyone under the MR umbrella, Emma was on. Of all the people in this room, Emma was on every show.
That's true. I mean, you were working on all of them though, so.
Not reckoning. That's.
But yeah. So on ESPN yesterday, we spoke about the Mitchell Miller controversy in the NHL. The Bruins signing a player that, you know, had been abusive towards a developmentally disabled black kid, calling him the N-word, all this kind of stuff, why the NHL is so behind the rest of these professional leagues in their culture. It's an old boys club and what some of the problems are with that, as well as Dan Snyder using his player who just got shot as a way to deflect from a lawsuit by the DC Attorney General against him, and also our picks for the week, which I've already lost one because I bet on Thursday Night Football, and for some reason the Falcons could not beat the Panthers. Whatever. YouTube.com/ESPN show. I know.
I was gonna say, is this like what's the sports term for this? Choking?
No.
Yeah,
What's
I
going
am.
down faster,
Whoa.
Twitter or Emma's betting?
I haven't lost in 3 weeks.
I know.
Wow.
That's part of the issue. I'm not
Wow.
doing terribly, but Bradley's just on the hottest streak ever. So if you want to see me crying while I look at my wallet, you can tune into youtube.com/ESPN show for more.
That feels like an Instagram project. Just watching your wallet just get thinner and
right.
Matt, what happened on in the Matt Leckian media universe this week?
Check out Left Reckoning on Wednesday. Emma was on along with Cale Brooks of the formerly Jacobin show, and we talked about the election and stuff. And we got a think tank for everyone. Patreon.com/Left Reckoning to hear David and I this weekend.
All right, quick break, and then we'll head to the fun half. We may have time for your phone calls today, 646-257-3920. Certainly, IMs will be read, ladies and gentlemen. And you can IM us by picking up the app at majorityapp.com. And we're about to release an iOS update. So get in on it now before it gets better. All right, see you in the fun half.
You are in for it.
All right, folks, 646-257-3920. See you in the fun half.
Are you ready?
Who sent us this?
Alpha males are back. Boy is back. And the alpha males are back.
Just as delicious as you could imagine.
The alpha males are back. Boy is back. And the alpha males are back.
Just wanna degrade the white man.
Alpha males are back.
I take all of it to my throat.